In this video, we are going to be talking about React 18. React 18 is the new update that was just released. So we are going to be talking about new features like concurrent rendering, transition, suspense, and lots more. And I'm going to also show you guys that are using React 17 how to upgrade to the new version, which is React 18. Wait a minute, before we dive into the video, let me share this good news with you. Your codes from the old version of React works with React 18, so you don't need to learn any new code to use React 18. That is the good news. Let's dive into the video. To me, concurrent rendering is the most important addition in this React version because it solves an old React problem and it unlocks many other features, because most of the new React features in these updates are built to take advantage of concurrent rendering. Features like suspense, transition, and streaming server rendering. It works behind the scene, as in it works in the background. It enables React to prepare multiple versions of your UI concurrently. That is, it prepares many versions of your UI at the same time. You can think of concurrency as an implementation detail, but it's more important than just an implementation detail. Concurrency is a functional React change that updates React's core rendering model. React handles complex techniques in its internal implementation like priority queues and multiple buffering. Implementation details are hidden from developers so that the developer won't need to worry about the implementation details. That is, the developer can focus on how to make his or her user experience to look like. Then React will handle how to deliver those experiences, so the developer doesn't really need to know how concurrency really works. So you can use React 18 by just knowing that there is concurrency, but you don't need to go deep into how concurrency works because React keeps that away from you. React handles that for you, so you just need to worry about how to make your user experience to be seamless. Some important things that you need to know about concurrency are: 1. Concurrent rendering is interruptible. The most important property of concurrent React is that rendering is interruptible. After you have upgraded to React 18 or when you create a project in React 18, by default it will render it the old way. The old way, which is single, uninterruptible, and synchronous. That is, once an update starts rendering, it cannot be interrupted until it is completed. When you add concurrent features to your project, that's when your project will start using concurrent rendering, which is multiple and interruptible. That is, an update rendering can be paused in the middle and continued later, or it can even be abandoned. For concurrent rendering to be possible, React performs DOM mutation at the end of renderings. This feature makes it possible for React to be able to prepare new screen in the background without blocking the mainstream, which means that UI can respond immediately to users' inputs even in the middle of a large rendering task, making the user experience to be smooth and seamless. Another important thing about concurrent rendering is reusable states. Concurrency makes it possible for React to be able to remove sections of the user interface, as the UI, from the screen and add those sections back later while reusing the previous state. An example is when a user navigates to a new page, the old page will be stored. So when the user comes back to the old page, the user will meet the old page as it was. Things you need to take note of is that React 18 works with most components, but extra migration efforts is needed for some. And you need to make use of strict mode to help surface concurrency related bugs during development. Then start adding concurrent features gradually so that you can easily take note of where the issue arose from. That is basically all for concurrent rendering. So let's move to the next one. Batching. Batching has always been used in React. Batching is when React groups multiple state updates into a single re-render for better performance. Without automatic batching, React only batch updates inside React event handlers like promises, set timeouts, native event handlers, or any other events that are not batched in the React by default. With automatic batching, these updates will be batched automatically. Automatic batching helps prevent components from unnecessary re-rendering for all state updates, which results in improved performance. Automatic batching will enable batching for all state updates irrespective of where they are coming from with create routes. This will include batch state updates, asynchronous operations, interval, native event handlers, and timeouts. As you can see in React 17, and previous versions. Only batched updates after event is in a callback. It sets both functions to cause a re-render, making the entire React app re-render twice separately. But React 18 overcame this limitation by patching updates inside of any promises, set timeouts, native event handlers, or any other event. If you want to stop automatic batching in your project, React has provided an option for you to use, which is flush sync, which you can use to prevent automatic batching in your project. Let me show you an example of how to use the flush sync. You can pause it to view it better. Transition is a new concept added to React to differentiate between urgent and non-urgent updates. Urgent updates such as typing, clicking, and key pressing are prioritized over non-urgent updates because they are often interacted with. Non-urgent updates or transition updates, which are not often interacted with, like transition of UI from one view to another, are given less priority. Urgent updates need an intermediate response for matching the user's intuition and experience when they deal with physical objects. That is, when a user is dealing with urgent updates, they need quick response compared to when they are dealing with transition updates. Users are more patient with transition updates as they understand that their action will not provide immediate response on the screen. For best user experience, a single user input should result in both urgent and non-urgent updates. You can use Start Transition API inside an input event to inform React which updates are urgent and which are transitions. Let's take a look at the code. As you can see here, updates wrapped in start transition are treated as non-urgent updates and will be interrupted if more urgent updates such as clicks or key presses comes in. If a transition gets interrupted by the user, for example by typing or clicking, React will abandon the stale rendering work that wasn't finished and render only the latest update. That is when React is rendering an update and an urgent update comes in, React will abandon the previous update, then render the latest update. There are two ways to start transitions in React 18. The first, which is use transition. Use transition is a hook used to start transitions, including a value for tracking the pending state. And the second one is start transition, which is when hooks are not available. Developers can use this method to start transitions. That is when you want to use transition inside a class-based component which does not support React hooks. If you find this video informative and you are still watching it to this extent, liking the video will be much appreciated. Let's continue. Suspense allows us to be able to specifically declare the loading state of a component until the component is ready to be displayed. That is, instead of manually setting up a loading state for our components that are still loading, we can do that now with the use of Suspense. The loading state declared can be a string or React component, which can be a spinner or any other thing that you wish to use as your loading state. As you can see, our example here, we use Spinner. A version of React Suspense was released years back, but the version only use case was when you are using dynamic import, that is React Lazy, also known as lazy loading. In React 18, Suspense capability has been expanded and can be used in many cases, which was made possible by React 18 concurrent rendering features. Suspense works best when combined with the transition API. If you suspend while transiting, React will prevent contents that are already visible from being replaced by a fallback. Instead, React will delay the render until sufficient data has been loaded to avoid a bad loading state. We will briefly talk about the new React hooks. We are not going to be using those hooks a lot, but let's just brush through it. We have user ID. User ID is a new hook that helps generate unique IDs on both server and client side while avoiding hydration mismatches. User ID is mainly useful for component libraries integration with accessibility APIs that needs unique IDs. Then we have use transition and start transition, which we talked about when we were talking about transitions. These hooks allows developer to mark updates that are urgent or are non-urgent. Then we have use deferred value. Use deferred value helps defer rendering a non-urgent part of the tree. There is no fixed delay. React tries to defer the rendering right after the first render has reflected on the screen. This is interruptible and does not block user input. We have use sync external store. It's a brand new React hook that allows external store to support concurrent reads by forcing updates to the store to be synchronous. Using this hook removes the requirement of using use effect hook when subscribing to external data sources. And lastly, we have use insertion effects. This is also a new React hook that enables CSS in JavaScript libraries to deal with performance issues of injecting styles in the render. This hook gets executed after DOM is mutated and before layout effects read the new layout. So that is all for the new hooks in React. In React 18, street mode has a new behavior. Street mode was introduced to React with the React 16.3 build, which was used in identifying coding patterns that could cause problems. It shows error messages and suggestions on how to solve the problem. But with React 18, street mode got additional behaviors and features that allows React to add or remove particular sections of the UI while preventing its state. For doing this, React will mount and unmount trees using the same component state as before. This will out of the box help React performance optimization. React 18 street modes will be able to stimulate on mounting and remounting the components in development mode. And finally, let me show you how to upgrade your current project to React 18. And for those that are creating new projects, you don't need to worry about this. Your new project will be in React 18, so you don't need to worry about how to upgrade to React 18. If you have a new project and you still want to know how to upgrade to React 18, you are welcome to watch this part. To upgrade to React 18, you need to open your terminal and type in npm install react at 18 react dom at 18. Then you click on enter. After the installation is completed, you have to make a tiny adjustment in your index.js file. You have to take note that the render that was imported from React DOM is no longer supported in React 18. So in React 18, we will import create root from React DOM/client. As you can see, the previous line of code here, and this is the new line of code that you will use. So that is the main thing that you need to take note of. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like the video and share the video to your friends, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can select any of the videos showing on the screen now. Knowledge is power, so enjoy. Bye.